Today we're looking at the technology of dot matrix printers a little. Particularly, I want to bring up this LX350 from EPSON. It's in 2025, a dot matrix printer that you can still buy from Amazon or Walmart online. And it has a number of interesting features that we'll go through here. Um, so let's start with just a quick tour of the box. So it's an Epson LX350. It claims high speed, and it can support 5 sheets of through copying, one original and 4 copies. It has a USB port. It's small size compared to older dot matrix printers, and probably energy efficient compared to older dot matrix printers. I haven't seen any indicator on here as to when it was made, but we'll see what we see when we open it up. Over here, there's a little more information about this printer. So it's a 9-pin narrow cartridge, which means that it has a 9 dots vertically make up the head. It handles 5-part forms. So if you had like carbon copy through forms, it could do it up to the original, plus you could have 4 carbon copies behind it. It prints up to 347 characters per second. Now that's probably at the most dense character font. So we'll see when we look at some of the other stuff that's maybe a little of an overestimate. Now this is the big reason that I got this. It's got built-in serial, parallel, and USB interfaces. So that means this is a highly compatible device, right? So you can, if you have a computer that uses serial or parallel or USB, it can drive this printer. Another reason that I chose this printer was it has support both for the Epson dot matrix graphics format and control codes, and the IBM Pro Printer 2 control codes. So your chance of finding a driver somewhere for it is also much higher. I believe it comes with drivers back to at least Windows 98, so that means like a DOS era driver. Um, and the the other model that people might be looking at is there's a Citizen on the Walmart website. I went with this one because I figured it'd be a little easier to get replacement ink for it. But people have mentioned that they've gotten that Citizen working with a Commodore PET, and being that that one has seemingly identical software interfaces or ports and interfaces to this one. I'm going to try to get this one working with my TRS-80 at some point. So we'll see how that goes. At minimum, I can set it up with serial over the serial out port, but I would like to get it to work with the the TRS-80's printer interface. Now it might only print ASCII characters, but that's fine too. Okay, so let's see what we got in here. So my plan is to preserve. I cut the tape a little. Well, there we go. My plan is to preserve this box because I'll probably store it in there when it's not connected to a system in use. Oops. Let's see what we got here. Some foam. Very exciting. So here's an ink cartridge. Pretty standard, full length dot matrix ink cartridge. So this ink cartridge is going to stay in a fixed spot. Some of the rollerball style or stuff actually move the ink cartridge across, but this guy just stays sort of in one spot, so it doesn't move with the head. We've got a power cable, always useful, though I have only a huge box of those. Let's see what's in here. Let's pull this out. So we have some manuals. Maybe we'll flip through those real quick, and a software disk. So there's a 2012 copyright on the software disk, so that gives you an idea of when that might be from. So, I mean, my estimate is that this is probably new old stock, but they might still be making them somewhere. People need, there are certain extraneous use cases where a dot matrix printer is still preferable, besides just messing around. But, yeah. So this comes in a fairly modern black plastic. The one of the nice things about the Citizen was this also just fell out of the box. Some sort of little metal hooks. We'll figure out what those are for. So here's the printer. It has, 4 buttons, or maybe, yeah, 4 buttons. So you've got sort of like a start, not a start, but a pause, run button. Stuff to advance a sheet of paper, load, eject. You can hit these. It looks like you can change the font with this button. You can hit both these buttons to reset, and you can go here through the menu. And I'm looking forward to playing around with the menu on this guy a little bit here. So we'll see if we can get the menu buttons. The menu it just needs the printer. We shouldn't even have to have it connected to a computer to set the settings in the printer. Then up front here, we got a power switch. We've got the knob on the for the roller there. We've got power port on the back. It can either take, so you can see here, right? It can take tractor feed paper, or it has this little guy here for feeding in sheets of paper. I don't currently have any tractor feed paper, so I was gonna start with using it with just regular sheets, fed sheets. Then, oh, that part fell off. Then here are the ports that I was talking about. So it's got a USB, and that is a USB 2 full speed. Now, full speed runs basically at the same speed as USB 1.1, so it's basically a USB 1.1 port. But USB 1.1 is fully compatible with, a USB-C. So if you get USB 3.1. So if you can get a USB 3.1 USB-C cable and plug it into there, it'll come up, and we'll look at what kind of device it comes up as. Then here's your classic Centronics printer port. They would connect to a parallel port on a PC. And then this one that looks sort of like a parallel port, this is the 25-pin RS-232 serial port. So we have that. That's the one that I think is going to be more interesting. So this one we could use to act like a line printer. I mean, it is a line printer basically at that point. Or we could, override the transmit signals from this and set it up as a teletype, where this is the printer for the teletype, and we maybe construct something to take keyboard input and just put it out on a serial port to be the keyboard side of a teletype. Yeah. So that is that. So let's see what else we got here. Let's see what the manual says. If it, whoops. So this guy just slides into the top here. Perfectly easy, all set to go, and we can set the width for whatever paper we want. Now, obviously, this guy probably takes 8.5 size sheets of paper, 8.5 by 11, or I'm sure it takes A4 as well, just as readily. But steal some paper out of another printer. And so here we go. We can see that just slides in like that. Now there's no... Oh, maybe this is where these guys go? Yeah, that's probably it. But anyway, let's go check the manual and see what it has to say about things and such. Okay, so here are the documents for this printer, which can you see that okay? There we go. Let's see what we got here. We'll start with these. These are our safety instructions. Yeah, it says don't get it wet. You know, don't try to eat it whole. Power plug stuff. That's pretty boring. This is some sort of import uh thing. That's boring. Okay, now here we go. Here's our quick setup guide. This is in Spanish, I think. Oh no, it is in 4 languages, but one of them is English. So this one says remove the packing materials. That's great. So there are those pin things. And yep, sure enough, those pin things go into the back there. The they tell us to remove that paper cover that fell off. Tell us to put the ribbon on. And then connect the printer to power. Connect it to our computer. And anything else interesting? Install the printer software, follow the on-screen instructions, then turn the printer on. So we are going to be, oh, that's over here on 7. Push paper release lever back. Boring. And what's this guy? Oh, and then that there's a switch on it to set whether you're doing single sheets or multiple sheets. And how to load on sprocketed paper. But we're going to be using sheet paper up here. So we'll follow those directions. Okay. So right now this is set to the sheet feed mode. So there's a switch right here, and you put it like that, and now it's on feed mode. But let's we're gonna pull this out for a second, and let's put in these little springy things. Now, are there 2 for in here too? Yeah. Strangely, there are 4 of these, but there's only room on this guy for 2. So let's just double check real quick. Make sure they're not saying put them somewhere else. Oh, I see. They want us to put them. Oh, they go here too. Okay. So they go on both sides of the paper feed. I want to. Now, I don't know how much these are strictly necessary, but anything that'll help the paper feed smoother is probably worth the effort. So, as I said, there are 4 of these guys. And so right here, there are 2 little indentations. And right here, there are 2 little indentations. And that's where this goes. And this sort of is going to be the over, so the paper doesn't go over where it's supposed to feed in, and prevents the paper coming up out of the tray from falling back in to the incoming paper. Maybe not prevents it, but certainly helps prevent it. Okay. Careful there. These are little metal jobbers, so the ends are, well, not like razor sharp. If you push too hard, you could probably stab yourself with them. And these guys slide in, and then they hit the little bottoms right there. So you can know how far they need to go down. And they just go into 2 little holes. Like this one. And then you'll see these guys will bottom out. as we go in. Perfect. Okay. And then once again, this guy slides right back into there. And there we go. And so now that's all set up. The other thing I have here from my supply is I wanted to set this up initially with a printer cable. So my the computer I have right next to me here is my high compatibility computer. It has lots of legacy connectors on it, but it's still a modern-ish 64-bit machine. If there's interest in seeing what kind of hardware makes up that machine, feel free to drop a comment asking for it. I'll maybe make that video. Okay, so before we connect that though, so we have a printer cable, right? This is your standard. I just want to go over this. This is your Centronics connector that's used on most printers, and then this is your standard 25 pin. It looks just like that serial port interface on the bottom, but that's serial interface, not a parallel interface. And if you connect that serial interface to a parallel interface on a computer with like a straight through 25 pin to 25 pin connector, I'm not going to guarantee you're not going to damage anything, but it certainly won't work. And we don't need the software disk for now, so we'll put that away. Maybe we'll look at that later when we're looking at other stuff. Okay, so it's got this EPSON sticker and let's just peel this whole thing off here. There we go. Let's peel it from the other side. That way we can get the, wrapped all the way around. The foam on here actually feels pretty good. So, however old this thing is, if it is from 2012 or so, probably from a little after that. Okay, so this was over the sticker. And we got this EPSON sticker, which I don't need an ad for EPSON ribbons. I'm sure they have a comment somewhere in the directions as to what the replacement ribbon part number is. Conversely, you just buy Epson matrix printer ribbons on Amazon. Okay. So I'm going to put this, we'll put this here on this directions sheet. There's a blank spot right here. If I ever do care, it'll be there. It's over part of the French directions, but that doesn't hurt me any. Okay. So in here you can see the print head is here. It's got a little heatsink on it. Probably keep it from getting too hot. This guy here looks to go from -1, 0. So this is probably how much depth the head has. It's just a guess because it goes up to 6. And that, it's probably approximately the number of sheets it's gotten there. Okay, so here's to hoping that this ink cartridge isn't, it was well sealed in a plastic bag, so I'm assuming this is going to be okay. And my plan is to eventually, wonder if I should just rotate it once. It's made of ABS. My plan is eventually to put a fill port on, maybe buy a spare and then put a fill port in them so that way I can just refill them with one of those ink injection systems. So when I was a kid, I assumed these cartridges were like cassette tape inside, and that they had all spooled up ink on one side, like new ribbon, and then on the other side they were just sucking up ribbon that had been used. But actually the way they work is it's just one ribbon that's sort of looping around, and then it just dunks in ink before it comes out on the other side. So that's why if you just put a little fill port in there, it'll work. I really don't want to mess this thing up. Okay, let's just double check the directions, make sure we do this right. Okay, so it goes right over here, like so. So the directions pretty clearly spell out that it's supposed to not go all the way behind the shield, just go in front of the printhead, which, you know, that makes sense. And it doesn't say anything about removing anything first. And there's a little drive shaft here that tacks onto the spinner there. So that all it seems pretty straightforward. Maybe I'll just lock this in and then mess with the ribbon. Maybe being overly careful here. There we go. I did just rotate this guy a little bit to help it get onto that feed head, so it didn't have to rotate. Man, this is a little bit of a... I wonder, is there a... Yeah, the directions actually do say to spin the thing before to feed some ink. Don't twist the ribbon. That's pretty obvious. Push it on. Oh, they said to push it in the back first. No, it doesn't matter. And then they say to use something to push it on. Ideally, they show like a pencil or something, which I should have here. Something pencil-like. Maybe a little black ink pen. Okay, yep, okay. So I just sort of tucked it around a little bit, and now that it's in there, I'm going to just rotate this guy a little bit more just to make sure that it's not pulling out. So there's two little feelers down here, it looks like, that this thing sort of rides along, and that looks pretty good. Okay, so I am very curious if we can just go into the menu without even hooking this up to the computer. Give it some power. And this is just, you know, your standard PC power cord. Plug this in right here. And then you put the printer in, and maybe I'll move the camera down here so you can see a print. But basically, we just drop this guy in there. And where's the little cover? Put the cover on. Okay, let's turn this thing on. Let's yeah, let's get a better look at this here. Part of the moving the camera around, I figure I'll actually wire up the ports as well. So I'm going to connect it to this parallel port here. I believe this, I don't know if I've actually tested this parallel port on this machine, but we're going to do that together right now. Okay, so we'll put this cable here. And it's just this 25 pin connector here. And then here's that Centronics port. So we'll take that cable, and we're going to have to do some layouts, but you know, this connector just goes right in there. Just like serial port. And then these just click in. And theoretically, it's all wired up. And then we'll just run, look down here. We'll just follow this gap out to the side because we want to go out that side. There's also a gap up here if you want to come out the right side of the printer. Okay, we're connected all back up here. Yeah, so it's not seeing the paper. There we go. Now it loaded some paper. So now if I hit that, I mean, I would like to say that there was some magic that I did there, but I just sort of fiddled with it until I took the paper in. So let's, now if I hit form feed. Oh, there we go. So now it is literally loading all the paper. That's not right. Maybe this thing's supposed to only take one sheet of paper at a time? That seems crazy. Well, we'll put in one sheet of paper for now. Okay, it really liked that one sheet of paper. Yeah. Okay. So, as you can see, the paper came up. I think if I leave this, I'd love to leave the cover off, but I think there's a safety switch in one of these sides here. Well, let's see what happens. If I hit form feed, does it? Well, maybe it's okay. Oops. Ejected the sheet of paper. Oh. Okay. So, I hit, it's not taking it. There we go. Whoops. I had to eject the whole sheet of paper again. So let's try that again. There we go. Okay. So yeah, it looks like it's going to work without the cover. As you can see, we have, so it's all loaded, it's all set to go. So now theoretically, if I hold down the menu button, it should print the menu. So let's see if we can do that. So, if you look, can you see that? Okay, yeah. So it says here that it's in English mode, and it asks me to hit item down if I want to say no, and set if I want to say yes. So I'm going to hit the set button here to set it to English. Then it asks, do I want to print the current settings? And again, set is yes, and item up or down are both no. Okay, so we can see here, let's, is that glossier? Yeah. We can see it pin tested the 9 pins. So you can see the top pin, then the middle, second pin, third, and it did about a character's worth of each. Then top margin for tractor, top margin for manual feed. That's probably how much space it gives at the top of the page. Page length. So right now it's set to 11, which makes sense because I'm doing 8.5 by 11. Skip over perforation off. So that probably tries to detect where the perforation is and then skip it. In tractor feed paper. Auto line feed. Whoops. Gotta be careful there. Auto line feed is off. Print directions bidirectional. That means it's going to print going forward and backwards. Right now, the mode it's in is the EPSON ascii format. So this is where I was saying before that it supports the IBM Pro printer. So that's what this is. That's the IBM Pro printer data format. I don't know what 0/ is. IF mode is the interface mode. So right now it's in auto mode. We could set it explicitly to parallel, serial, or USB, but let's even in auto mode because parallel is the only mode that we have connected right now. Auto interface wait time. That's just how long it waits. So the baud rate, this is for if you're using the serial port. It's going to run at 19200, which that's the fastest rate it supports. So let's go with that. Parity none, 8 bits. So 8N 9200, 19200 is a totally reasonable serial port speed. I might have to actually drop that down because I don't know if my TRS-80 supports that speed, but we can always drop it down to 4800, which I know it supports, but I think it might support something. It might support 9600 even. So this is if the parallel port is bidirectional, and sure, why not? Packet mode, auto, I don't know what that is. Character table. So this is which character encoding to use. You'll see that it does not support UTF-8, because that's, more characters than this thing probably has memory to store the concept of. But it does have, so right now it's using PC 437, which I'm assuming is code page 437, which is the classic IBM DOS era sort of code page with all the chess pieces and playing card symbols and stuff on it. But it does have a bunch of other formats. Latin 1, which is, a far more modern sort of typeface. But we're going to stick it with this for now because it's, this is going to mostly be used in sort of semi-nostalgic setups. And all, and this has ASCII as the subset of this guy. So when we send in ASCII characters, we'll get ASCII stuff out. And then we have it set to USA, which is useful for me. We're doing 10 characters per inch, which probably doesn't get us that 400 characters per second, but, it gets us what it gets us. So this does have, what was that, 5 different monospaced fonts, 10, 12, 15, 17, and 20 characters per inch. All right, so in a 8.5 by 11, that's 10 characters per inch is going to be like 80 characters in a row, which is like the standard for doing, coding. And anytime anyone writes expects to just dump ASCII to a printer, and the sort of standard is to assume 80 characters fit in a row. I mean, obviously this gets you 85 because you have your margins, but assuming 80 is still what people target there. Auto carriage return is off, which looks like that's only in the IBM Pro printer mode. Manual feed, wait time, it'll wait 1.5 seconds between sheets. Buzzer on, low noise mode off. That may be an interesting thing. Well, we'll leave all that on for now. I wonder if that buzzer, if you send it a bell character, if it'll ring the buzzer. We'll see what happens. IBM character table is table 1. I don't know what that is. IBM and power off time is off. So it probably causes it to auto power off. So now let's try to change a setting. So let's put a new sheet of paper in here. So let's look at what the menu options are here. So select the next menu by pressing the down item button. Select the previous menu with the up. Select the value by pressing the set button. Turn off the printer to cancel the settings. Finish making settings by pressing the menu button simultaneously. So if I hold down both menu buttons, it's going to sort of lock in the settings. But let's see if we can change something. So what's selected now? Does it have an indicator? No. So I'm sure I missed something that was supposed to be printed there on the screen. So can I feed this guy to like there? And then let's try to turn low noise mode on. So we should be able to go down. Skip over perforation. No. Auto tear off. Fine. Auto line feed off. We're going down to the next one should be. Oh no, we got a ways to go. No, let's well, whatever. Print direction, bidirectional, that's fine. Software. Uh, we could switch this over to IBM Pro Printer mode. That might be interesting. It's a little bit more of a legacy mode. So let's hit set. So now it's IBM Pro Printer mode, and then we can go down to the next one, and then /IF mode. And if we go back up, it should still say software is IBM Pro Printer. Yep, so IBM's Pro Printer. And then auto IF wait time, 10 seconds, sure. Baud rate. So let's change our baud rate over to 9600. Actually, let's go 4800. Okay, so that's now 4800. And then no parity, 8 bits. Packet mode auto, sure. Character table. We're going to stick with the PC 437, even though that might not be compatible with what we're actually sending it. But we'll try to keep ourselves to the ASCII subset. Auto carriage return, manual feed wait time, 1.5 seconds. Let's actually change that to 2 seconds. Give me a little more time to feed stuff. We'll leave the buzzer on. And let's turn low noise mode on and see if that's and then IBM character table, table 1, sure. Power off timer. We could auto power off. Why not, right? So let's we'll set it to a long time for now. It's number of hours anyway. So let's go let's set it to 4 hours. 1 hour, 2 hours, 4 hours. Okay. So then it says in the directions again, right here, finish making sections by pressing the menu button, which is pushing both of these buttons together. So hit both of these buttons together. Nope, I probably gotta hold them down. Okay, so I'm assuming that took. What we can do is let's eject this paper. So now I'm just going to print on the other side of the sheet of paper for the sake of speed here. And then we're going to hit the menu button again. And see if we can get it to reprint this this display, but now with our new settings. Actually, let's turn it off and turn it back on and see if it remembers the settings, shall we? So I'm going to turn it off. That's all went out. Turn it back on. Yep. Let's see what the menu says. Desk, this thing in English. Print the current settings. You believe it. You better believe it. Okay. So, if you look side by side now, you can see that our settings. Oh yeah, let me just. I'll just put this one in. You can see our settings have changed, right? So we're in IBM Pro Printer mode. We're in where's the serial port speed? 4800, and we have a power off time of 4 hours. So it looks like it took our settings. That it was low noise mode. I would still say that was pretty loud. I'm just in the interest of saving trees here. We'll put this paper in upside down so that we reload the printer. you are using this printer for the settings, I think it's going to work better with tractor feed paper because it keeps failing to manually feed cleanly. But anyway, let's write item down. Skip over perforation. So if you look here, what it printed when there wasn't any paper in it was page length for tractor. So if we go up, we should see that page length for tractor. Yeah, and so it's 11 inches, which we're going to stick with that. So it does go all the way up to like 17-inch paper. And the width of this thing is, I don't know, how wide is that? Actually, I guess we're limited by where the... Now you can't, because the feed roll is actually much narrower. Just about 8.5, actually. So the paper is actually pretty tightly defined here. So yeah, you're looking at like 21.5 inches, which is, you know, certainly big enough for A4, but maybe there's a little bit extra space here. You're not feeding anything too wide into it, though. But you could do 8.5 by 11 or 8.5 by 17. You probably get up to 9 inches in there. But yeah, okay. So so to cancel, because we don't need to make any more settings, so we just turn the printer off. However, I'm fine with just saving the settings, which we're going to hit both menu buttons. Okay, and I guess we're out of menu mode. So let's try to set up and send some data to this from the computer. So just hold on a second. Okay, so we're set back up here. We got the camera zoomed in. We got some windows open. I want to show you some of what's going on this system. I still haven't really tried to print anything yet. I mean, outside of the menu that you guys saw. So I'm going to bring up to the top here. This is the user's manual from EPSON. You can still actually download this on their website. I'll probably put a link to this in the video. This is a 93-page PDF here for this manual. It's a little more full-featured than the one that it came with, which is really just sort of a getting started guide. So, printing with the push tractor, removing... This is printing on continuous paper. Let's see if there's any good information on printing. Here we go. Single sheets. Load eject. There feeds paper backwards into standard. Top of form position. That's single sheets of tractor feed. Here we go. Printing on single sheets. So we put the switch in the back, which we did. Set this guy to 0, which we did. Light a sheet of paper. Yep. So this thing only can take a single sheet of paper at a time. So if you're manually feeding, you're manually feeding. Okay. So that's important things tonight. So over here on the side, which I was pointing out before, is a sheet thickness. So if you have ordinary paper, you should set your paper thickness to -1 or 0. It was set to 0, so we'll leave that alone. If you're printing through multiple copies, you basically add 1 for each. Oh, interesting. So they're saying I should use -1 for single sheets. So, or no, -1 or 0 for single sheets or continuous paper. And then if you're feeding envelopes, obviously that's multiple sheets thick, so you want to be able to Get the thickness right there. Multi-part forms, envelopes. This is all sort of advanced stuff. So this is the first thing that well, not first thing, but it's something that I wanted to point out, right? Like, so if the goal of getting a dot matrix printer is to work with legacy operating systems, right? This guy supports Windows 7 back to XP 2000. There was somewhere I saw a 98 driver for this thing online, maybe. So maybe if I try to get that working, we'll do that. I mean, the IBM Pro printer obviously goes back to the DOS days. So you can get, if you put it into IBM Pro printer mode and get an IBM Pro printer driver, you should be all set. That's only if you don't want to print just ASCII. If you want to print just ASCII, we'll see in a second just how simple that can be. And then here they just give directions on installing drivers. This describes the printer settings, which, that could be somewhat helpful. So we could look up what was that. This is print direction, print speed, offset, packet mode. Ordinarily, there's no need to change the setting. If you change the printer's packet mode settings, change the setting to match. That's just, these are drivers for this is driver settings. Status monitor 3, software for monitoring the printer. Right, going to use that. Bidirectional printer settings. So you can also change the printer settings through their software if you use it. So very interesting Windows stuff, I'm sure. Uninstalling the printer software. Don't care. Control panel. Selecting a built-in font. So there's actually just a button on the front labeled font. And I maybe we'll play around with that in a little bit. Because it does support a draft font, Times New Roman, sans serif. So we'll see. So this is the settings we were just looking at for, and here you can see what fonts are available, or not fonts, character tables, and other such settings. So buzzer, low noise mode, table 2. Oh, so this is, okay, the character table only affects IBM Pro Printer mode. So, if you get your hands on, I mean, this is probably if you get a European model versus an American model here. The American model has only this many encodings, whereas probably the European or international one has more. But, so I have this one. That's fine, though. I'm probably going to mostly just use Latin 1 and 437. Page length. And then this has descriptions for everything. So we could go in and look up some of these things that, like, when you choose on, the noise is reduced, but printing speed is slow. Oh, it just prints slower. Still prints plenty fast enough, though, so we'll go with that. There was another thing that I was wondering what it was. Over perforation, auto line feed, print 0/. The 0 character. Oh, can either have a slash or not. Oh, interesting. So that's actually kind of a cool feature that in the defaults was off. So, yeah. So the default setting for 0/ was this guy over here, which is you can't tell from this one, but this is actually a picture of a 0 with a slash in it. There must be a rendering issue in this PDF. So that was interesting. Parallel F bidirectional. Uh, oh, this is how often it checks a different interface. So it looks like um, you can connect this guy to multiple different systems. And, you could have one guy who's printing over the serial port and one guy who's printing over the parallel port. And as long as they don't collide, it's going to, once it grabs one, it'll use it. But after a timeout, it will look for data coming over the other interface. That's a cool feature. Let's see, packet mode, power off timer, and let's see, error interface, boring. And then down here with problems and solutions. I thought there was a really nice summary of all the features in this thing. Country updates, EPSON ribbon cartridges, printer parts. So here we can see all the bits and pieces of the thing. Okay, here we go. So this is where I was talking before about the highest speed is, oh no, 347 is at 10 characters per inch. Ah. The high speed characters per second is at 10 characters per inch, so it does actually go up from there. If you print faster, right? Like, so it, that's weird. It drops way down if you go up to 20 characters per inch. Maybe it has to type over. The fastest is actually at 15 characters per inch. This draft condensed probably hits, actually increases the resolution. Horizontal resolution. Bidirectional printing, line spacing, columns, resolution, friction feed, push, tractor feed, paper feed speed, continuous, intermittent, reliability, rate, ribbon. So the ribbon life here is 4 million characters. That seems like a good amount. 53 dB, electronic interfaces. We sort of looked at those. It has 128K buffer, so, and it has these EPSON fonts. So it has a draft font, which it prints faster by putting a little more empty space in between the characters. It's probably very similar to the font that we are currently using on the menu right now, right? But then it has a Roman font and a sans serif. Actually, right now, theoretically, off. I don't know what that. We currently have no font selected, but that's fine. Character sets, and then electrical. Well, there's a lot of information here. Envelopes, other stuff. So this document is, helpful. And I have another document that I want to pull up eventually, but maybe in another video where we'll look at the codes, or actually how does this guy work under the hood to print. What do we call it? To print graphics, or how does it map its fonts even? Yeah. So, okay, so this is the CD that it came with. Just to give you a quick look at what's in there, it has, the drivers, let's see if it has the drivers by other printer. So it has Win x86. Oh, it has a 64-bit Windows driver as well. So that's pretty modern, unless that's like titanium or something like that. Then in others, XPS. Yeah, it's another Win x64. So it looks like there's a variety of drivers. The apps, it has that status monitor app in it. And then in the manual section, setup guide. This is probably the document we already looked at for setting it up, but then it also has English, US, I'm guessing that is. And then we have this index HTML file. Let's see if we double click that. Will that Firefox? Okay. So then just for reference here. So this is actually the same document that I was just looking at, but it's a web page instead of where this was a PDF. So this one is a web page on the CD. But yeah, so the manual's here too, and that's, I'm sure, of some use. All right, let's go back to the file browser. So other than that, there's just not that much that we're going to be using today anyway to look at this. So now let's get to something a little more interesting. So I have not yet used this printer to print anything from the computer. So you can see the screen. So let's see if we just can cat some text to, or cat a file to it, right? So let's just create a quick file. Nano test dot text. Hello world. This is a test of the EPSON dot matrix printer. Good luck. Put a new line at the end. Save that file. And so now let's see if, so can I remember the device name for parallel ports in Linux? Maybe. Let's see what happens. Let's just see if I, whoops, come on. There we go. So, you can see on here that it printed, but it didn't put any new lines. Sorry, it didn't new lines, but it did not do carriage returns. So we will fix that by going into, we'll run, is it Unix to DOS? Yep. So now this file has DOS style line endings. So now if we just cat it to the port, so now you can see over here, it still printed hello world over here, but afterwards now it's back over here. This is a test of the dot matrix printer. And if we scroll up here, you can see right there, now it's all good. So if we use DOS style line endings, this printer's good to go. You can see that the D from hello world just happened to wrap there. So that means this printer is connected and just works as a serial device. So if I wanted to, I could cat anything to LP0. I could echo to it. I could, what? Let me highlight the right window. So I can echo. I wonder if I uh, let's echo, hello, printer. And then there's a way to do, I think I can do new line and carriage returns in here. Well, we'll find out in a second. Straight to /dev LP0. It did not carriage return. So it probably just printed. Let's see. Yep, it just printed those characters. Well, when in doubt, man echo. Echo. Oh, -E. Nope. Doesn't have new line carriage return. That is correct. Maybe I need to do carriage return new line because probably sitting in a buffer awaiting the carriage return before it. There we go. There we go. So there you can see now it actually printed properly. So yeah, so we just echo. We just need to get the carriage return and new line, right? Which, if you've done any programming, are probably somewhat familiar with. Are old printer control commands that predate, you know, a lot of uh, a lot of stuff because they literally tell it to return the carriage, which is this part right here, back to the beginning of the page. The fact that this guy is just barely off the page is a little suspicious, but that's fine. And then the new line obviously just tells it to feed the form one line. Right? Oh, cool. Whoa. That's not what I wanted to do. It's back in here, and we'll print on the page upside down a little bit. Once again, just saving paper while I fiddle around. Come on. There we go. Okay. So, and now if we, just to give ourselves a little extra, we can do a little /n/n. So now when I print to it, you see it prints it, and then it's set to go. So we could now print to this printer from scripts. We could have log files automatically go here, which is the sort of classic use case. We can actually, let's see, is there a way in Echo to send arbitrary bytes? Yes, we can. We can send them in octal. So maybe next time we'll try printing a graphic line using the well, let's see. Let's go. Let's check that. Uh, so they had that. Those control characters. Where were those? For your command list. So I believe it's somewhere. Yeah, they probably don't list them here. This is probably a good place to start, but let's try to generate that. Um, so let's do. Um, I have the document somewhere else. I'll pull it up later. Yeah. So, as you can see, we could. Let's see. Can I? We could do. We could send a form feed to feed paper. We could send escape one. Do we want to try to see if we can feed that? Page format. That's boring. Print position motion. Font selection. Oh, let's play with font selection, shall we? So, let's do that first. So put this guy back to the back. Okay. So uh let's let okay. So now we've printed with this. Right now we are set to the default HSD font, whatever that is. Let's try to change the font and reissue that same hello printer command, shall we? And see if we can tell it. So I'm just hitting the font button. That didn't do anything. Hold it. Nope. Huh, I thought there was. Hmm. There's a font button, but I can't seem to figure out how you activate it. Okay, well, we'll just have to. Let's check the manual real quick. So if we send escape and K, X, Y, P. Okay, well, let's try escape X. There we go. So let's just try. I wonder if it's sports/E X. Well, it did something. It didn't print an X, so it didn't change the font highlight on the display either, though. Let's try. I think there was one that was K. It also seems to have caused line feed. Um, nope. All the /e's. Maybe /e isn't escape in Echo? Ah, it is. Well, I'll have to figure that out for. There we go. For another time. But it seems like we have. Actually, you know what? I'm not going to give up that easy. We're going to find it. Let's spend a little bit of time here. So how do I change the font? Let's look at. I'm going to bring Firefox back up to the top here, and let's see if we can find something useful in here. Uh, software. I want to use the software. Should be a way to do it on the buttons. Machine lockout mode. Oh, I'm not in EPSON mode anymore. I'm in IBM mode. So now font selection is Escape P. Let's try it. Or Escape colon or Escape E. Yeah. So, Escape capital E. That seems to have done the same thing. But let's just print something and see if it... Oh, that did print bolder. That's definitely... It did change the font. So, rather than Escape E, let's try... there was a colon. And so that's interesting. So that is, you could tell, a much narrower font than up there. And it's darker. So this is definitely a, I mean, whatever it is, it's a nice font. So let's try, now we could probably do some real research and get a better idea of what fonts it supports. But we can see that we can change the font by issuing these commands. What else was there? Escape P, escape F, I. Okay. So that is definitely one of the escape sequences we sent in the past. Put it into what should we call that mode? We're at a higher characters per inch mode. As you know, but that just changed with when I sent the colon. So let's see if I send colon again. Does it take it out? No. So maybe, let's see if I go back to E. So E seemed to put it into bold. F took it out of bold. Colon puts it into a narrower print format. EF. Let's try I. Oh, that was interesting. I did that in 2 runs. So, I mean, I will say I like the darker print, but let's see. So if I do F again, does it go back to... Yeah, it takes the bold off. Still much nicer looking than it's been. Now we're getting to the end of the page here, so maybe it's time for a new page. But we got enough to keep playing around with this. So let's see. Escape. That did nothing. I might have. Oh, it did actually change the. It says it's sans serif now. However, I think I messed something up because it's no longer responding at all to being told to print stuff. It's not even doing its little line feed things. I'm going to hit the reset, which is tear off and line feed at the same time. So it's now reset. So now let's just try sending our print command again. Okay, so it looks like that reset everything. And I think we're out of paper, so I'm going to load this paper and eject this. So we are seeing different printer settings. The font did... so if you look here, I mean, the page is upside down and a mess, but this one is the last one I printed, and it's back wider than these guys. So one of those codes made it narrow. So we can change the printer code and the font and the darkness, or the, whether it's this sort of drafty font or something more dense. If I have the font button, it doesn't let me actually change the font. It's a little annoying. But, yeah, I think that this is, for a first run, we could play around with this some more. And I really wanted to show the capabilities of the printer. So, let's just maybe summarize here. So the we can clear this. Well, let's put another piece of paper in there just so that it's set for whatever I do next. Yeah. So I manually line fed it that time. But anyway, so the let's discuss some of the what we've learned here from this printer. So it does support the IBM codes. It does let me change the font. I have another file somewhere with some more detail there. For single sheet paper, a big negative of this printer is that you do have to manually load it a single sheet at a time. It does not support any sort of, selecting a single sheet at a time out of the hopper of paper. So that is a important thing to consider. The it does though just work right out of the box with sending it characters, and it prints the characters like one would expect. I will experiment with using this over a serial port and see what it comes up with as in USB. But for now, I'm going to call this experiment a success. And you can see here the sort of features that the printer supports. You know what? I'm not wrapping up yet. Let's take a look at... Let's plug it in via USB and see what it comes up as, right? So right now, if I do ls USB, I've got those devices. I should have a USB cable right here somewhere. So I'm just plugging into the USB port on the bottom of the computer, assuming I can find a USB cable. Okay. So I just wired up a quick USB cable. I'm going to plug it into the PC now. No change in behavior over there. I go back into active mode. Okay, well, Linux just went full on board trying to auto set it up, but I don't really want it to auto set it up. I want to see what LSUSB says. LSUSB says, one of these is new. PX, Seiko, Green Asian, USB to PS2. Oh, there it is. Seiko. Wow, that took forever. So here it is, the Seiko EPSON LX-350. So I was hoping it might come up as a serial or parallel port. So if you use it with USB, you're probably going to need some sort of driver to get it to work with. So that's less fun. I'm sure there's a cups driver for this. See, I assume I have cups running on this machine. Let's see. Local host. Oh, was it 631? Cups? Yeah. Oh, let me bring this guy back to the top. So let's see if we can add a printer. Admin. Add printer. Username and password. Okay, so yeah, it already detected that the printer, so it detected that it's both on the parallel port and on the USB port. So let's add the USB port version. Continue. Yep, so it's USB. Continue. Let's bring this guy up. Okay. So the 9-pin series or the 24-pin series? Well, 9-pin series seems pretty good to me. However, I do have this guy in Pro Printer mode, so it might not work. But let's um let's try it and see what happens. So giving it the wrong printer language will probably be A. Okay. General. Let's go printers. So this guy's all set up now. Can I print a test page? Admin. Maintenance. Print test page. Nope. Definitely using the wrong printing language. Cancel that job. Gonna reset this guy? So, we set it up to be the IBM Pro printer format, but we just set the driver to be the EPSON printer. So I expected that to sort of, I kind of expected that to not work. So we'll try that again. There we go. Come on. It's gonna keep, okay. Well, we canceled the job in cups, so let's turn off the printer and turn it back on. And see if that clears out the print memory. Yeah, good. So now everything's back. So let's, we have two options. We could change this guy over to an EPSON printer, which would probably be the sensible choice. But we're going to do the crazier thing, which is go in and reset the printer up. Come on, Ted, you've done this before. Modify printer? Yeah, modify printer. So we leave that the same. That's all fine. So it's currently the EPSON 9 pin, but let's change that. So let's try to change it to an IBM Pro printer 2, which is what it thinks it is. So, maybe under, I would have figured that maybe under generic. So we could set it to text only. That's an option. I would figure there'd be a driver for the IBM Pro printer. Huh. Yeah, we could go raw Q, but that's less fun. Oh, that's it. We're going back into the menu, I guess, because they don't have a driver for the IBM Pro printer here, which I figured they would, but they don't. So we're just going to cancel out of this. And change it over here at the printer. So we're going to go into the menu. English. I think we're going to just go straight down into item and see if that lets me start to see the individual items. Oh, yeah, that's much better. So now I can just go through the items. Auto tear off. I wonder if I changed the font, it would have used a darker font here. Anyway. Line, print direction, software. Oh, that was it, software. Yeah, so we hit set. There, it's now back to EPSON. 9-pin printer. So let's store that. Okay. And so, just for the sake of sanity here. Oops. I'm gonna... Let's bring the terminal back, and I just want to see that even though we're in IBM format, it should still let us, or sorry, in EPSON format, we should still be able to get it to print. Hello, printer. There it goes. Okay, cool. And so now I should be able to some of those printer codes that it said should change my font. Yep. X was maybe the original font. There was one that was K. Let's try K. Well, I didn't immediately have a thing, but if I do have a printer. Okay, well, I haven't seen an impact of those yet. I'll have to fiddle around with those codes. The important thing, though, is the printer's printing. So, let's go back to trying to get cups to print a test page. Okay, so cups, I'm going to form feed. Let's grab a nice, clean, fresh sheet of paper. So I will say when you're feeding the paper, it helps. I found it helps if I push it a little bit as I'm feeding it in, just to make sure that the roller picks it up when it goes to grab it. It's probably also just a matter of some of this, the gumption wearing out in these things. Okay, so let's go here. Now we're going to print. Oh, sorry, it's under maintenance. Print a test page. Here goes nothing. Oh, there it goes. And so this thing has the driver for the 9-pin EPSONs. So this really shows the portability of everything. If I zoom out just a little bit, maybe we can come on back up a little bit more, a little bit more. Yeah, you can see this guy rolling here, and you can see it's printing the page. Now I think I still have it set to draft mode, but it's obviously not printing in color. But there's no reason to expect that because it's a black and white printer. But it is happily chunking along my. I feel like I should have turned off low noise mode, because this probably would have printed much faster. I'll probably speed this up because nobody wants to watch this at full at normal speed. You can see that the printer is printing a little crooked. But that's probably because I fed the paper crooked. Which is, again, just one more reason that I should probably just be using tractor feed paper. We're definitely going to fall off the left side of that page, but that's... I just I can pull it up, but that's probably a bad idea too. I think it's almost done. So you can hear it like it's just sliding back and forth and then going click, click when it's doing the two side posts. This really shows how off center my page feed was. So maybe I'll try another run with okay. So it didn't get the line at the bottom, but that's because it probably had too much spacing at the top. You can see the margins are terrible on this thing. I think that you'd normally use this to print, like it's designed for printing text in the middle of forms, and you'd line up your form properly. So let's maybe try to line up better than this and see if, and let's also put it into full print speed. So we'll just use this paper here. We're going to shift over by, I don't know, half that distance. So we're going to go to like, because 0 was way over here. We're going to go way down to 5. So I feel like that is far closer to where we should be. Get us a nice loose, okay. Yeah, so now we're going to print on this page upside down. That's weird. Didn't feed all the way in. Maybe it was intentional though. You know what? Let's form feed. Let's check that. Wanna see here if we. Okay, there we go. That feels right. Okay. Let's go into the menu and turn off that low noise. And then we take English. And then do we want to print the current settings? No. Page length 8. Skip the perforation. Auto tear off. You can see here now we're getting a little bit more of a normal thing there. It's like on the edge of the roller. You can see the roller on that side. So that's interesting. So it said to set it to 0, but it's really not 0. You almost want to be to the left side of this arrow rather than where the arrow is pointing, which is like 5 in terms of whatever setting they're at. Directional. Actually, you know what? Let's change that slash. I'd like. Whoops, I'm hitting the wrong. I just changed my settings. Back to auto for the interface mode. The 0 slash. I want it with a slash when it prints a 0. Okay. Cool. The interface auto. Wait time 10 seconds. 4800. Whoop. Clarity, data length, bidirectional, packet mode auto. Stick with that. Don't really care about that. Pitch 10 characters per. Auto character turn off. Manual feed wait time. Buzzer. Oh, I should have set this thing a bell character. We can still do that. Low noise mode. Let's turn low noise mode back off. Make this thing go a little faster. Table 1. Power off timer. We'll leave that at 4 hours. And page length for tractor. Okay, and we're back all the way around. So now we hit both keys to program it in. Okay, so we are now programmed to go. Oh, let's try. So let's come back here. Oh, you guys can't see that. Let's go back to the terminal. So let's let's just echo hello printer. Okay, so that's looking good. So we can just send that whole test text file to it, and that looks good. Yeah, so let's and now you see we have like, I don't know, it feels like a better amount of spacing there. So we're gonna have to put a whole new piece of paper in here for if we want to print the test page again. But let's do that. Eject the page. Put a new fresh page in there. There we go. So that's loaded. So now let's print another test page in here. Did I have don't have a print settings page or something? No. Okay. So let's print that test page again and see if this looks any better. That's certainly faster. It's a little louder. We are a little more you have a little too much margin on the left side than the right side now, but that's okay. I think we can live with that. Let's see if the margin gets shorter on the left side or the right side as it goes. Tells us how square we are. I mean, you can kind of see how square we are up against the top here. This side's definitely going to hit the top first. Just barely a little. It sticks over. So that means we're a little out of square. Again, tractor feed paper would solve that problem. So this printer is really designed to use with tractor feed paper. So it obviously works functionally with non-tractor feed paper. Just requires a little more manual operation. So one thing that you can do with or the whole, so it has a serrated edge here, so you can tear off paper as it's printing. So if it was like tractor feed paper and you were printing something that was being logged continuously or something. So let's see how this goes here. We're getting to the end of the page. I wonder if it's going to print that. Now, it didn't print the horizontal line. I wonder if I feed this in, did it just fall off the page, or no, it just doesn't print it on this printer. Interesting. Maybe it has to do with the margins that are set in something, but that is fine. Let's. So I just wanted to show the. So a log might be like. Right. Let's print that, and then maybe print it again, and then we have a log statement like that, and then a log statement like that, log statement like that, and a log statement like that. And we see that it's so here we have our what's being printed over here. Oh, let's go this way. Over here. So if this was continuous feed paper, or even with this paper, right, you could just take it and you pull it right along there, and you can tear off the piece that's printed with the information you want, which lets you print to like sub pieces of paper, which does let you actually save paper. Again, if you're printing logs or something where you want to print your session as you're doing something, and then you want to feed it out, maybe you you have the turn knob here, so you can feed up till, oh, well, this is the end of my session. I don't want anyone to know what I was doing, because, maybe I have personal information printed out. You pull it off, but you don't waste whole sheets of paper. You can pull off just what you need, which is obviously more useful back in the teletype type day. But yeah, A little quick aside. I was fiddling around with the buttons. I was about to put it away, and I found that there is a control. I figured out how you change the font setting, right? So you can see the font light here, and it's supposed to match this. HSD, draft, Roman, sans serif. So this button over here that says 3 seconds on it, if you hold that for 3 seconds, the printer beeps, and now you can hit the font button, cycle through the different font settings. So that's draft, right? Blinking and off. On and off is Roman, and on is sans serif. So I made a little quick print of the different fonts, and you can see here HSD has a lot of empty space in it, so it probably saves a lot of ink and doesn't use, and it's very fast, right? So it's probably high speed draft. Then regular draft is basically the same font as this, but with like, I don't even know if you can see that, but it's about like twice as dense of dots. Then Roman and sans serif are both very clear in comparison to the draft fonts. Um, and obviously Roman has serifs and sans serif doesn't. You can see here I turned on that 0/, so all my zeros have slashes to differentiate them from the O's, which is just something I like in a monospacious font. Um, the and you can see these guys are much darker. I think I'm gonna leave this guy in the Roman font because I think for what I'm doing, it's just nice to have the serifs. Um, they're both different. They both have serifs on the lowercase l, so it differentiates from the one. But this has like that classic typewriter sort of look, which just I think makes it a little. I just think the Roman looks a little nicer, but the sans serif has a very modern, modern computery feel to it. Um, so you can choose either, and once again, that's just and then you hit this button when you're done, and it puts it back into ready to print mode. And then any text you send it will use the font that you selected. Once again, right now I'm in high speed draft, which is so yeah. There we go. And now it's in Roman mode. Well, this light's on, this light's off. So I can use that. Oh, yep. Thanks. The USB port works. The parallel port works. I assume the serial port will work very similar to the parallel port. Just a matter of setting the settings. And then you could, set it up with a modem directly and have it be a teleprint. You can set it up as a teleprinter. You can set it up serial to a modem to a radio and do it as a radio teleprinter. There's a lot of fun little things you can do with this because it does have all these port options, all these setting options, right? We were able to switch it to the IBM Pro printer mode and showed that the EPSON driver doesn't work over USB for that. But if we go to the parallel port, we were able to send it EPSON, IBM Pro printer commands and get that to work. We have we could set up over the parallel port here. We could probably set it up over the serial port as well, though that would be a little more involved because that's not really a standard printer setup for a modern computer at all. I mean, parallel ports are basically ancient history, but at least they were very prevalent for a long time. So stuff like cups will still support it. If I put this into a Windows or a Mac machine, I'm sure they'd. I mean, Macs to this day use cups, so they would probably just work with this printer out of the box. Uh, I mean, this emulates much older uh, printers. So over the parallel port, you could probably hook this up to a DOS machine from, running on like an original IBM PC compatible machine and just use it. Maybe you have to put it into Pro Printer mode if you can get if the software you're using has a Pro Printer driver, right? DOS programs are going to be program to program how they behave. But yeah, so this is I think it's a nifty little machine. It was only a couple $100, which if you want something for sort of playing around with an old dot matrix printer, uh, this is I think a good choice. I'm sure the Citizen would also have been a fine choice. Um, and I think the Citizen was a little cheaper, but you sort of see the trade offs here. Maybe if somebody makes a video for the Citizen, you can sort of compare and contrast. As I said, I'm going to try to get another print cartridge. Um, I'm going to try to play around with the serial port and, maybe make my own Pro Printer or EPSON graphics files. And maybe I'll make a video about that. If you're interested in any of those things, feel free to comment what you'd like to see done sooner than later. I'm also, as I said, I do want to try to get this working with my TRS-80. My TRS-80 has bigger issues, though. Once again, I'd like to get that working over the parallel port, but even if the serial port would be my first go there. So, if you like it, let me know. If you want to see anything else. And I hope this is helpful to someone who's maybe considering, like, what does this printer actually, how does it actually behave? I mean, I've used it for a couple hours, but it's not, it really does live up to what I really wanted it to do. The only real downside is that it is very much designed for tractor feed paper. So if you're using it manual feed, it is truly manual feed. You have to feed the pages manually one at a time. But it's a pretty slow printer, so it's not that hard to keep up. Maybe you'll just buy some tractor feed paper. Maybe you have a crate of tractor feed paper that you're looking to use, in which case this is an excellent way to use it. So yeah, that's the LX350. Thank you, and I hope you found this helpful.